এবার ঢুকেছে, তোর কাজ হচ্ছে তুই একটু বলবি যে হ্যাঁ পড়ছি কি পড়িনি। আমি এখানে আমার এখানে তো করতে দিলাম, আমার যেহেতু এখানে এটা এটা কিছু হিসাবে না। তুই আবার সময় মিত্রকে ফোন করছিস, ফোন করলেই যাবে তাও বলে
Sir, it is visible, but you are not audible.
কই ভিজিবল ভিজিবল হচ্ছে ওই কোথায়
Your screen is visible, but your PowerPoint is not visible.
কোথায় তো ভিজিবল হচ্ছে কর তাহলে প্রেজেন্ট করতে বল।
Sir, your words are not coming.
এটা খুলতে পারবো, মাইকটা খুলতে পারবো, বলে ওপেন দ্য মাইক।
এবার শোনা যাচ্ছে? হ্যালো,
Yes, sir, it is visible. And it is audible.
is it visible also?
Now share, you just share.
Okay.
You share, not coming PPT.
আচ্ছা,
Go to present mode and go to the PPT. Sound is coming.
PPT
Yes.
is coming.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. After a short trouble, I think I just to now in condition to start my lecture. Yes, today the topic of my lecture is origin of life, its diversity and conservation with special reference to angiosperms. Actually, when my friend and my younger brother like Devoproto asked me to deliver a lecture on this biodiversity webinar series, and he also told me that it is the last lecture of the series, I asked him to give me a list of lecture which has already been given here, and I become very much astonished that is no subject is left for me to deliver a lecture. Everything has already been delivered by a stalwart lecturers of different fields, like my teacher and my guide, respected Dr. Shobhit Mukherjee sir, also given a lecture, and I become quite afraid that after this stalwart speak, then I have to speak something. In this regard, I become some afraid. Then after, I think what should be my topic. And after a perusal, I find that in this lecture, nothing is told about the origin of life. Origin of life. Everything is told about the diversity of the life. So, I think that I will speak something regarding the origin of life. So, today my lecture topic is origin of life, its evolution, and then diversity with special reference to angiosperms. Because I am a field of botany, so I think botany is my most lovable subject. So I never go out the sphere of this botany. Now, what is life? Actually, from the point of view of a biologist, if we would like to clarify life, we just found these four fundamental characteristic features of life. That is, life is energy acquisitions and utilization. Life is a system of storage informations. Life is a system of reproductions, and life is a system which evolved by the process of natural selection. So these are the four fundamental pillars on which the life is situated. Now, to understand my entire topic, I just divide my topic into three spheres. The first sphere about our home Earth and the solar system on which the life is entirely based on. The second is the origin and evolution of life on this earth. And number three, the last portion of my lecture, it deals with the diversity of the life and their threats and way to mitigate that. So today my lecture will be delivered on these three aspects, that is about the origin of Earth, origin of solar system, about the Earth, and number 2, origin of evolutions of life on the Earth, and third, the diversity. Now, it is our Mother Earth. It is our Mother Earth. It is a picture of Earth with its single satellite moon. This Mother Earth. The name Earth is at least 1,000 years old. All of the planets except for Earth were named after the Greek and the Roman god and goddess. However, the Earth is Germanic word which simply means the ground, the Earth, our home planet. In the only place, it is the only planet. Would you don't mind? I request all the audience, please put off your microphone because it becomes very much disturbing to me. I lack my concentrations. It is our home planet. It's the only place we know of so far that's inhabited by the living things. It is also the only planet in our solar system. It is the only planet of our solar system where the water is present, and the life is found till now. It is also the only, while Earth is the only 5th largest planet. I show you the figure of a solar system where we found that Sun is the center of the solar system. Earth, it is the 3rd planet, but its size, Earth is the 5th largest planet. 5th largest planet in the solar system. It is the only world in our solar system with liquid water on the surface, just slightly larger than nearby Venus. Earth is the biggest of 4 planets closest to the Sun, all of which are made of the rocks and the metal. So these are the planetary system. Actually, in our solar system, the planets are divided into 2 distinct categories. One is the planetary rocky planets, and second is the giant gaseous planets. There are 8 planets, out of which the 4 planets, they are the rocky planets, and these 4 planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, these are the gaseous planets, and it is the Pluto, it is the gaseous icy planet. So Earth, it is the biggest rocky planets among the 4 rocky planets of the solar system. It is situated 92,39,270 kilometers from the Sun, and sunlight required 8.3 minutes to come from the Sun to Earth. All these facts are known to us, so I wouldn't like to spare time to this. It is our solar system. In our solar system, the Sun is the only star. There are 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. There are 5 dwarf planets: Pluto, Gaius, Mercury, and Eris. There are about 200 moons in our solar system. There are 10,68,000 asteroids. There are numerous comets. And numerous meteors. So this is about the solar system. Now, I come on to the bigger point of the solar system. The solar system entirely depends on the Sun. Solar system entirely depends on the Sun. The average diameter is 864,000 miles, about 109 times greater than the Earth. It is all the features about the Sun. The rotation period of the Sun differs into different poles, about 36 days on the poles and about 27 days on the equator region of the Sun. Sun have 2 opposition system of rotation. So it has 2 different time of rotation period. It is completely composed of the hydrogen and helium and some other particles. I come in detail to the next. Now, it is Sun. Origin of Sun. The scientists tell us that the sun is 4.6 billion years old. By nature, it's a yellow dwarf star. It is a hot ball of the glowing gases at all heart of our solar system. Its gravity holds everything from the biggest planet to the tiny debris of the orbit. It is situated 26,000 light years apart from the center of the gravity Milky Way, our galaxy Milky Way. The feature of the sun, I have already been told you. Regarding its origin, the latest theory of what science provides us is it is originated 4.6 billion years. Now you think just a gas full of a football-like structure full of gas. If I cut the football just from its midway, what happened? All the gas will be diffused out. But the sun never do so. The question is why? To understand this, we have to go through the origin of the sun. What happened? Before 4.6 billion years ago, there is a mass of dust and gas floating in the universe. This mass of gas and dust, they are minus 240 degrees Celsius in temperature. And at this temperature of minus 240 degrees Celsius, out of the four fundamental forces of the nature, only the one force is remain active, and that force is the self-gravity. Due to self-gravity, this dust and gas mass becomes concentrated towards the center. The main composition of this gas and the dust is 91% hydrogen, 8% helium, and 1% is the rest material. This gas, when condensed into the center, it produce a pressure on its center. When the pressure increased, the density of the gas is also increased, as a result of which the finally temperature of the gas is also increased. And the temperature is rose up to 1.5 crore degrees Celsius. And this huge temperature variation from minus 240 degrees Celsius to 1.5 degree crore Celsius, a thermonuclear fusion has been started. In this thermonuclear fusions, what happened? The four protons, that means four hydrogen molecules, get attached together to produce two helium molecules and released of the energy by following the Einstein's equations, E is equal to mc square. And this huge number of energy, what happened? The huge number of energy create a back force. This back force now nullify the force which was created by the self-gravity. So the condensations is going on one side, and the back due to thermonuclear fusions, the energy which created the explosions energy, which also produced the outward force. These two opposite forces nullify each other, and the sun remain an intact gas ball-like structure and remain stay within the sky million of years. Now, what if we see in the morning sun? It is a egg yolk-like structure. But this morning sun is beautiful egg yolk-like structure. It is not so happen in original. Sun is very, very, very dangerous for us, because in every second on the sun surface, huge explosions takes place, as a result of which from the sun's surface, near about 16 lakh tons of the charged particles comes out, and the average velocity of this charged particle is near about 450 kilometers per second. You just remember that this charged particle, when comes out from the sun's surface, this white light is called as the corona of the sun, which we see as the sunlight. Now, in this 450 kilometer force of the particle which comes through the earth, if any object get collide with this 400 kilometer speedy particles, that charged particles will be destroyed, that particles within a second, that object within a second. But in the earth, we remain alive. What I am saying, that if tomorrow morning when the sun will comes out, if I come in sun, what happens? Fraction of seconds I become fragmented due to collisions with those charged particles. But it has not happened to us. We remain alive. Why? The main thing for this is the Earth magnetic sphere. Earth is a magnet and it have a own magnetosphere. The charged particles which comes from the sun, it's collide with the Earth magnetic field and it's go out, keeping the Earth unharmed. So Earth is remain, and the life on the Earth is remain. In our school days, when we draw the magnetic pole of the bar magnet, what we found that the two poles, that is the north pole and the south pole, have some gap. You just remember those days in the physics practical when we try to draw the pole of the determined pole of the bar magnet. What we found? We found that there is some gap on the two poles, that is north pole and south pole of the bar magnet. In Earth, that is also true. On the two poles, that is the north pole and south pole of the sun, these particles are entered on the Earth, which collide with the Earth atmosphere and it produces the rays. We say it is rays. There are two auroras, aurora arborealis and aurora australis, or north and south pole respectively. So it is the origin of sun and it is our life. Now origin of our solar system. The theory said that gas mass which is spin due to two opposite force, that is the central gravity and the force of explosion's energy, what happened? Now think a ball when it started to spinning, it becomes a disc-like structure. Here also the gas ball when it started to spin, it becomes a disc-like structure. Now this disc-like structure concentrated in different regions and it produced the planetary system. With the increasing distance from the central protosun, this arm of each is become cooler down. There is a least that the element when condensed, it produces some rocky material. So as a result of which, from this protosun to some extent a frost line is produced. Inside the frost line, which is nearer to the sun or the protosun, it becomes rocky or mineralized. Outside the frost line, all the planets which are produced are icy in nature. So it is all about the origin of solar system. Now, origin of life. There are three theories regarding the origin of life. Actually, better to say that there are four theories regarding the origin of life. Though the Earth is originated 4.6 billion years ago, but the first trace of the life, what we obtain, is 3.8 billion years old. In the early Earth, the environment was devoid of oxygen. So we can say that life was originated in anaerobic conditions. And about the place of origin, there are various theories, but according to scientific our world, everything of this world. Second, spontaneous origin of life. It is the spontaneous generations, or it is called as the abiogenesis, the hypothesis that life arises regularly from the non-living things. One is the Italian physician and the poet. He was Francesco Redi in the year 1668. First created this experiment. What he did, he just put a meat open, and some days after he found that the meat becomes spoiled with the development of maggot. It was the Redi's experiment, but this hypothesis was proved wrong by the experiments of French scientist Louis Pasteur. French scientist Louis Pasteur in the year 1859, and what he did, it is the Pasteur's great glass retort experiment. I think I have no need to explain this again because it is known to all of us, all of my friends, all of my students. It is the Pasteur's great glass retort experiment, what he did to prove that the life was not originated spontaneously. Now, second theory, it may be explained today also. It is panspermia, that is extraterrestrial origin of life. According to this theory, life is not originated within the earth. It comes out, comes outside the earth, and it was inhabited there. The main supporting documents of this theory is the Murchison meteorite in the year 1969 in the Victoria province of Australia. There is a place that is called as the Murchison, and this Murchison, there one meteorite comes, one is asteroid or meteorite comes fall there, and in January 2020, different cosmochemists who experiment these meteoroids, they found different elements from this meteoroid. Not only that, the oldest material which is found on the earth is the silicon carbide. So according to Earth's origin, it is 4.6 billion years old, which is found in the earth. But from this Murchison asteroid, which is stated that it is 7 billion years old, there also we found this silicon carbide. So it is one of the great evidence that in support of the followers who thought that the life comes from extra planetary systems, they also they get great support in their favor that life comes on the earth from outside. There is some sugar component which is found in this Murchison meteorite. Besides this, in the surface of the moon of Jupiter and Saturn, we found some system which is like river, which is like the river system. So it is also help us to think so that life is origin outside there. Now, Mars, it is our closest planet. There is a meteoroid ALH 84001. It was fall on the Antarctica in 1984, which is about 4.5 billion years old. There also we found some element which is just like the teeny creature or of the earth's first life. It is also found from this meteoroid, through which we also think so that life comes from the outside the earth. So these are the evidence which provided in support of the earth's origin of life from the out source of the earth, that is from external planet system of the earth. But we believe on the science. So what science say to us? The science say that earth's life origin within the earth. it is origin through the chemical theory of origin of life in the earth. Early earth atmosphere, we found that is water is there, methane is there, ammonia is there, hydrogen is there, nitrogen is there, and carbon dioxide there. It is the compositions of the earthly atmosphere. And we also found that there was a volcano from which the volcanic eruptions comes out regularly in the earth's atmosphere. Not only that, thunder also comes on the earth atmosphere. This earth atmosphere was defined as the primordial soup by Oparin Haldane. First, this theory was proposed by the Oparin Haldane. They stated, Oparin and Haldane, they individually, in the year 1920s, they individually stated that organic molecule could form spontaneously from the simpler raw materials when sufficient energy is supplied in a reducing energy-rich electron-adding environment. And they also produce a model there through which this is the earth atmosphere molecule. They assemble simple molecule into building blocks of the today's biological organisms. Amino acid is produced, nucleotide is produced, and now this nucleotide and amino acids, they produce the RNA, they produce the DNA, and by this way the life is originated in the earth. Now, this primordial soil or about the chemical theory of life, the main unanswered questions, which are how did the primordial soup acquire the simple monomeric building blocks essentially producing for the information bearing polymer? Number two, what condition necessary for the initiate assemble of such polymers? Number three, can a polymer be produced that is capable of the self-replication as well as information storage? Number four, how did compartmentalizations necessary for self-recognitions during replications and for the diffusions of the gene product evolve? And which came first, DNA or RNA? These are some multi-dollar questions which comes in front of us through. Now I just try to answer these questions gradually. First, how the primordial soup is formed. In the year 1952, this question was solved by the Urey-Miller experiment. What Urey-Miller did? Actually, they created a early earth atmosphere, and he did the same thing what happened in the early earth environment. And what the result? The result comes out. These are the things which was present in the early earth. These are the experiment they did, and they found these are the components as defined by Haldane and Oparin. Number two, chemical condition of the earth. Regarding this, we till date get some within the ocean. Within the ocean, there is some oceanic volcanoes present which erupt, volcanic eruptions within the ocean. And in that case, due to some sulfur concentrations increase there. In early form of the life, we found that oxygen was not present there. As oxygen was absent in the early atmosphere, the biocomponent present there, they produce their own food through the photosynthetic process. Was not as the photosynthesis of today's, what green plants follow. That was defined as the chemosynthesis, where hydrogen sulfide or iron component used as the source of energy. So this chemosynthetic organism is also produced today by same carbon component for the energy used, but same process as it was produced in the early earth. So it may be say that the carbon iron sulfur world hypothesis also get a clue to answer these questions, that early life was origin within the sea. Now, last question, which is the first one, DNA, RNA or the protein? If I consider that protein comes first, then easy to synthesize, it is, we found through the Urey-Miller experiment, amino acid is very easily produced. Even small peptides can exhibit catalytic activity. 20 amino acids is necessary for the productions of entire protein. But the main default of this, the main fault of this theory is that globular structure and lack of complementaries preclude self-replication. And modern proteins cannot function without DNA. If RNA is produced first, RNA has some catalytic properties. RNA is capable of the making proteins. Weak points, RNA lacks the ability to self-replicate. A DNA world, DNA is almost completely lacking in catalytic ability. আমরা কিন্তু কোনো DNA কে catalytic activity তে দেখি না. Now, it is the answer which was given by to this one, which one is DNA and RNA. We found it is a publications of the Nature in the year 2006, where we found that RNA, it comes first and DNA, it comes second. Now, in the 20th March Science journal Science, volume 347, issue 6228, where Bradish H. Patel, Claudia, they entirely breaks the problem of origin of life. They sequentially prove that primordial soup, it is the thing from which the life is produced. The life is produced. And from this primordial soup, the RNA is produced first. From this RNA, the DNA is produced. And through this formation procedure, a RNA virus it entered within an organism. There it get its databases assembled together to produce the DNA. So this is the theory of the chemical evolutions. Along with the amino acids and the proteins, experiments have shown that spontaneous development of the other macromolecules such as the lipids and the nucleic acids such as RNA, as soon as a molecule formed which could self-replicate, the possibility then exists for the errors in those copies. Errors in replication produce variations, and natural selections acts on the variations. Any molecule which could copy itself more efficiently or faster could be selected for an environment. So this is the theory which we have regarding the origin of life. So it is all about the origin of life. Now I come into the next portion of my lecture, that is the evolution of life. Now, evolution, it is a process. What is mean? Actually, in a very lucid form, we can say that evolution means comes out of a complex form from a simple form. So, in a definition of a cell, we can say that cell, it is the structural and functional unit of life. So, the first cell is origin. So, evolution is also started from the cell. Cell, which we obtain in the ancient world, it is the prokaryotic cell. Then the prokaryotic multicellularity takes place. Then eukaryotic cell is originated from the prokaryotic cell, and then multicellularity of the eukaryotic cell takes place. From this multicellularity, we found the eukaryotic organism is produced, and then evolution takes place within that organism. So evolution, I discussed on these two points, that is first evolution of the cell and second evolutions of the life forms. So in the first life, that is 3.5 billion years ago, when the life was produced, it was a unicellular structure. Unicellular structure. The oldest fossil which we found is the microbes, unicellular microbes. Then we found that these unicellular microbes get attached together to produce a multicellular organism. This is the fossil record of the Archean. It was 3.5 billion years ago. Then after, formation of the protocells. These protocells are the prokaryotic cell. The next important step in the formation of the cell is to develop a membrane to protect those to self-replicating molecules. Phospholipid molecules naturally arrange themselves into spherical shape called liposomes. These are the liposomes which get attached together, within which the self-replicating molecules of a cell remain stored. The oldest known fossils on the earth are dated back to 3.465 million years old from Western Australia. Is formations called as the stromatolites. These microscopic fossils resembles present-day cyanobacteria. Although the oldest fossil bacteria resemble photosynthetic cyanobacteria, which use oxygen. The very first prokaryotic cells would certainly have been anaerobic, as the atmosphere then did not have any oxygen, that is devoid of oxygen. The first prokaryotic organism would likely to have relied on a biotic surface of the organic compounds. They would have been chemotrophic, using compounds like hydrogen sulfide. I have already been told regarding this. With the change of the Earth atmosphere, what we found, that is the cells. What is the cells is now start to change. Means a prokaryotic cell is start to change to eukaryotic cell. And not only that, with the Earth atmosphere, when the oxygen get entered, the process of the photosynthesis also being changed. That is, chemosynthesis to photosynthesis is originated within the bacterial world also. That is, use of the chemical energy to prepare the source of carbon, to use of the light energy for the preparation of the source of carbon. So it has already been changed. And the bacteria which able to produce, use light energy for the process of productions of their food is called as the eubacteria. So from the Archaebacteria to eubacteria is produced. With this change, we also found that the cell also produced from prokaryotic to eukaryotic cell. I think there is no need to explain the change of characteristic features of the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. So if we just try to draw a phylogenetic lineage, there we found that there is a three domain. That is the Archaeobacteria, that is the bacteria which are unable to use light. That is the eukaryotic cell, which is an evolutionary line from the prokaryotic cell. And then there is the eubacteria lineage, that is the bacteria which are able to produce the light as the source of energy. There is the genetic analysis. It is found that 1.7 billion years ago, this prokaryotic cell molecule are converted into eukaryotic cell molecule through a procedure. That procedure is called as the endosymbiosis. Through this endosymbiotic procedure, first mitochondria and then chloroplast get attached within a cell, and that cell is now regarded as the eukaryotic cell. With this eukaryotic cell, what we found that now that domain has already been changed. That is the Archaeobacteria, now the eukaryotic organism, and now the eubacteria. So this eukaryotic organism is again changed into different categories. That is animals, that is plants, that is fungi, etc., etc. So the domain has also been changed with the change of the cell. With this prokaryote, with this unicellular conditions, when the life started, the multicellularity is begin. Multicellularity is begin in course of the evolution. And within this multicellularity, in the life form, we found that at the beginning of my origin of life, I say one thing, that during the replication process, during the replication process, there is some fault occur, and due to that fault, what happened? The new species originated, which is called as the speciations, and which create the diversification process. So the diversifications of the life also comes. The oldest fossil of the multicellular animals date from about 640 million years ago. However, during 40 million years period, beginning about 565 million years ago, a massive increase in the animal. When we go through the evolutionary events, we will find it better way. That is evolution of the early life forms. It is a geological time period. We found that is added. It is the most oldest period in Archean, then Proterozoic, then Phanerozoic. These are the era: Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic, Precambrian. This is the period. This is the epoch, and today, million years. Now, this is the man to whom each and every biologist, he is the god of each and every biologist, because his theory changed the entire thinking process of the biological process. In the year 1859, Charles Darwin, in the pages of his book Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, if the theory of evolution be true, it is indisputable that before the Cambrian stratum was deposited, long periods elapsed, and that during this vast period, the world swarmed with living creatures. However, to the questions, why do we not found rich fossils, ferrous deposits belonging to this earliest period? I can give no satisfactory answers. So, these words of the Darwin also heard that he also helpless to answer the process of evolutions entirely. Answer the process of evolution entirely. What we say, we just make some guess, and based on which we just make some conclusions. So, I just give one example of the Darwin's theory. That is, it is a Galapagos Island, and Darwin visited this Galapagos Island in the year 1832. 1832. You just remember one thing, one historical chronology regarding the biological science, that when Darwin's theory comes out, then after 100 years required to comes out about the basic of our genetics, that is structure of DNA. Structure of DNA. After 100 years, the structure of DNA was discovered. So the entire theory, what Darwin present, it was based on his observations. No genetic data he was, no molecular data he was. So his observation was his conclusion was entirely based on his observations. In 1832, when Darwin visited the Galapagos Island, there he observed many species of the phoenix bird, and he also observed the basic nature of the phoenix bird. Their food habit is different, their feeding behavior is different, their place of inhabiting is different, and to explain his observation, Darwin hypothesized that species can adapt to new conditions through natural selection. Through natural selections. And what that natural selection is? That natural selection is due to that that natural selection is due to that conditions of multiplications of DNA in different way. Now, back to Darwin's Phoenix, a study of the DNA in the year 1999 shows that all the Galapagos phoenix are closely related to each other, and they probably were derived from a single stock South American phoenix that Darwin hypothesized of their common ancestors. Besides this, Darwin also observed one thing, that is the iguana. Galapagos Island, only 3 million years old, but the iguana, the DNA from the Galapagos iguana shows that they have evolved about 7 million years old since the splitting of formed their South American cousins. So the island did not even exist when the iguana left South America 7 million years ago. The Galapagos Islands are a hotspot chain like Hawaii, in which the oldest volcanoes have subsidized below the sea level. Hypothesis: the ancestral iguanas swam from the South America to the easternmost island. As time passed and each island in the chain subsidized, they moved visit to the next one. It took them 7 million years to make the tree. So this is so now we just try to study a evolutionary phylogeny. The modern Darwinian synthesis suggests that adaptive radiations from the common ancestors, concept of the phylogeny support through study of the homology. The traditional classification system, Linnaeus, are monophyletic based on the homology, parallel or divergent evolution. Some groupings are polyphyletic with analogous structures, convergent evolutions. So it is a phylogenetic scheme of the modern life form. We don't know where is the origin of life begins, how it is begins, where it is begins. These are the common ancestors and these are the extinct lineages. Now we start to found a last universal common ancestors. It is our try to find out universal common ancestors. If we get a phylogenetic tree, we found that it is the common ancestors from where all life is produced, and somewhere in the archaea, the bacteria gives the chloroplast, bacteria gives the mitochondria, they united together somewhere here and it produced the eukaryotic lineage, and from this eukaryotic lineage we found the animals, we found the fungi, we found the plants, we found the algae, we found the ciliates, other organisms. So this is the more network than a tree we found in the common ancestors. Now in the kingdom systems, we found that there is a 5 kingdom systems: Monera, Protista, Plantae, and Fungi. So it is the diversity of the life. Monera, the pioneers of the life on the earth. It is about 3.5 billion years history. There are although only 4,000 species known to us. Then it is the phylogeny of the prokaryotes, early prokaryotes, domain bacteria, eubacteria, archaea, and eukarya, protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. Kingdom Protista, prokaryotic ancestors, red algae. One is the kingdom Plantae. All of we already known about this, so I would like to spare more time there. It is the kingdom Animalia, evolution of man. Mankind stood up first and got smart later. প্রথম মানুষ দাঁড়াতে শিখেছে, তারপরে মানুষ বুদ্ধিমান হয়েছে. Now, placental mammals include the hominids, apes include gibbons, hominids include Ardipithecus and Homo. Hominids, earliest hominids diverged 5 million years ago, distinguished by the bipedal stance.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
please.
your PPT is not visible again. It has gone.
PPT is gone, but here it is visible, madam.
But in our computer, after pinning your icon, the PPT is not coming.
Pinning my icon, it is not coming. Why? What happened?
So I suggest you restart it and again join.
Restart and again join.
Yes, sir. You exit from the meeting. From the second, the laptop you have joined, then you again join it, and then you again show your PPT.
In my second option, you can't see it. In my
So
second.
that one only we are pinning, and but we are unable to see a PPT.
Okay.
এই কোর্সটা তাহলে বুকিং হয়ে গেল। দেখ।
Sir, your PPT is visible now.
Okay.
ওই পেজে যেতে পারবো।
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now Australopithecus, forerunner of the evolutionary dead end, ape-like large face, small skull. This is the subject of anthropology. I wouldn't like to spare more time there. The first humans, early Homo. It is comes late Homo. The final phase, the Homo sapiens sapiens has been evolved. So it is the all evidence of the. In this regard, what Darwin told us to find out some fossil evidence, I try to show some fossil evidence. The earliest filamentous life form which we get here, it is 3.23 billion years old. Fossil record of the Precambrian, when the stromatolites are found. Fossil record of the Proterozoic. Yes, the Edicaria fauna, the oldest fossil of the animals which we found. It is 1 billion years ago. Fossil record from the late Proterozoic. It is the fossil record of the late Proterozoic. The first plants appear on the landforms. Cambrian fossil records, 45 to 505 million years ago, beginning period of the great diversifications, higher atmospheric oxygen affected skeletal biochemistry. Some change of the plants organizations also took place. It is the Cambrian. It is Ordovician. It is Silurian. It is Devonian. Devonian, the land plants, the plants which was in the water, now it comes in the terrestrial condition. Difficulty of the to 26 years age, and the first come on the earth. Pennsylvanian 320 to 290, peat swamps, common with the scale trees and seed farms. This is the plant forms, 286 to 248 billion amphibians. They come from the earth, they prevail on the earth. Now the reptiles begins in the Triassic, in the age of the dinosaurs. This is the age of the dinosaurs. Age of the dinosaurs is going on. Cretaceous, age of the dinosaurs. Jurassic, it is the age of the dinosaurs again. Now, Plesiosaurus instead. Cretaceous actually. Flower plants appear. It is the Cretaceous tertiary boundary when the great volcanic eruption was great meteorite eruption was occurred, and it is the one of the most devastating loss of the life on this universe. Tertiary Paleocene, beginning of the modern life forms, following the boundary extinction, age of the mammals begin, grassland spread. This is the evolution through life. Pliocene, Pleistocene, Pleistocenes, the great mammoth, Quaternary. This is the time when the first old man comes on the earth. This is the not Homo, this was the early Homo. That is the Homo habilis, 2.2 to 1.6 million years ago. And now it is the last hominids when the man first stood and then it gathered its intellectuality. So with this we found the changes of life through it. Now I come on to the last portion of my lecture, that is biodiversity. What does biodiversity mean? Actually, biodiversity is a word which produced from two words, that is biological and second is the diversity. Biodiversity means the biological diversity. The biology, it is a word which means a greater sense of life. Bios and logos. Bios means the life form, logos means the extended knowledge. So, the subject through which we gather the extended knowledge about the life form is called as the biology. And the diversity, diversity means the variety. So, biodiversity, it means the diversity or the variety of the life. Biodiversity is the totality of the genes, species and ecosystem in a region. Walter G. Rosen in the year mid-80s first coined this term biodiversity. And E.O. Wilson in the year 1988 first used this term biodiversity. Norse and McManus in the year 98 first defined the biodiversity. And what was the definition of that? Definition was of different types. Biodiversity was variety of the world's organisms, including their genetic diversity and the assemble they form. United Nations defined biodiversity in their conference, defined biodiversity as this way: variability among the living organisms from all sources, including inter-alien terrestrial, marine and other aquatic ecosystems, and the ecological complexes with which they are the part, this variety within species, between species and the ecosystem. In the broad uses, life are on essence of life. So it is the definition of biodiversity. If we go to understand the relationship between biodiversity, there are three kinds of diversity. One is the genetic diversity, which is the base. Second is the species diversity, and third is the ecological diversity. And in here, there is another type of diversity, which is the taxonomic diversity. There is, so according to my opinion, biodiversity is of four different types. One is the genetic diversity, second is the species diversity, third is the ecological diversity, and fourth is the taxonomical diversity. It is the genetic diversity. All belongs to the same species, Homo sapiens sapiens, but they become the different races. Second is the genetic diversity. It is from the plant kingdom. It is the species diversity. It is the ecological diversity. And it is the taxonomic diversity. Think, all the picture given here is the picture of a species of Sida. Sida, it is a genus among the family Malvaceae. This genus, Sida, there are 12 figures I have already been shown. All these grown in our neighborhood. So I found these pictures and give it here. All these are the Phyla. Now, according to its genetic constituent, each Phyla species has its own genetic constituent based on which it bears a definite genetic type. On the basis of that, we just confirm it a species diversity. But they are all become in the single genus Phyla. So when we say that diversity of the genus Phyla, then it includes the diversity of the genus Phyla species in one hand. But in a strict sense, if we go to calculate this, we will find that there is a common characteristic features. There are some common characteristic features based on which all these distinct species are common to the same group that is Phyla. So this togetherness of the common characteristic features based on which they are grouped in the same group Phyla, it is their taxonomic diversity. So on the basis of second, there is the three other diversity. It is the alpha diversity. This refers to the number of the species in a single community. This diversity comes closest to the popular concept of the species richness and can be used to compare the number of the species in different ecosystem types. Beta diversity, it refers to the degree of which the species composition changes along an environmental gradient, and gamma diversity, it applies to the larger geographical scale and defined as the rate at which the additional species are encountered as geographical replacement within a habitat type, different localities. So the gamma diversity is the species term over rate with the distance between sites of similar habitats or with expanding geographically. I just try to explain it through this figure. It is the alpha diversity, that is number of species in a single community. It is the gamma diversity, different ecological system is there, ecological condition is there, as a result of which the number of species added here, it is gamma diversity, and in relation these two, it is the beta diversity. Now, global biodiversity. What is meant by global biodiversity? Global biodiversity is the measure of biodiversity on planet Earth and is defined as the total variability of life forms. More than 99% of all species that ever lived on the Earth are estimated to be extinct. আমরা যে কথা বলছি, now at present, I am telling about the biodiversity of only 1% species. From the prehistoric time to today, the number of species which has been estimated globally was 99% of which has already been extinct. Only 1% species it is remain till date. Now, as I'm telling it first that I am from the world of the botanical science, so my emphasis will be on the plants. Plants are on Earth is the greatest resource. They are source of food, medicine, and material with vast economic and the cultural importance. They stabilize ecosystem and form the habitats that sustain planets, animals, and the microbial life. They are also threatened by the climate change, our environmental factors, and the human interaction. There are an estimated 4 lakh species of the muscular plants on the Earth, with some 10% more yet to be discovered. These plants, both known and unknown, may hold answer to some of the world's health, social, and the economic problems. So among this biodiversity, most important is the plant diversity, I think so. Species diversity. There is a comparative account of the biodiversity of the world as well as the biodiversity of our country, India. Gymnosperms, pteridophytes, bryophytes, algae, lichens, fungi, bacteria and virus, and angiosperms. Now, if I travel one end to the other end of the earth, we found that the light is not distributed throughout the world in a same manner. There are some countries where the light is very flourishing. There are some areas where light is not found. For instance, if we take the Gobi Desert, there is not a single sign of life. Siberia, there is a very few sign of life. In case of our Thor Desert of the Rajasthan, there is a very few sign of life. Whereas the great Amazon forest of the Brazil, there is flourish of the life is present. So these are some of the variations of the spread of the light. Now the question is why this distributional difference of the light takes place. This depends on some environmental factors, and these environmental factors is the climatic factor, altitudinal factors, soil, and presence of the other species. Most of the biodiversity concentrated in the tropical region, because in the tropical region the climate condition is very helpful for the life. The altitude is very favorable for the life forms. Soil is very good, and presence of the other species is also. We divide the biodiversity into our world into some places where the biodiversity is very rich, and those places are called as the biodiversity hotspot. Biodiversity hotspot is a region with a high level of the endemic species. This term, Dr. V. Sambina, in the year 1988, first coined this term, biodiversity hotspot or the hotspot. To qualify a hotspot, an area must hold at least 1,500 endemic species. Brazil's Atlantic forest is contains roughly 20,000 plant species and 1,350 vertebrates. They are endemic. All 34 hotspots contain 15% of the plant species and 42% of the terrestrial vertebrates animals. Hotspots cover 15.7% of the land surface, and intact hotspot habitat equals to the 2.5% of the total land surface of the world. Among these hotspots, there are total 34 hotspots. But among these 34 hotspots, we found some area there where more than 2/3 of the global biodiversity, homeland of the 2/3 of the global biodiversity, and it is also inherited 80% of the world's threatened species. So this area of the hotspot is called as the mega diversity, and world there are 20 mega diversity. India is also belongs to such a mega diversity area, and it is picked in the list of 20 areas. Now, if we go to characterize the value of biodiversity, we found that biodiversity is important. One is the biological or ecological importance, taxonomically unique species, endemic species, keystone species, and ecological importance. Utilitarian importance. It is the species used for the food, fiber, medicine, etc., directly or indirectly linked to the biodiversity. Species with the potential for the future utilization. Species needed to maintain environmental health and equality, and ethical cultural value of the biodiversity. So, it is the value of the biodiversity. Now, at present, we are in the era of biotechnology, and this biodiversity has a close relationship with the biotechnology, because a biotechnology never sustained with the biodiversity, because each and every raw material required for the biodiversity, a biotechnology is provided by the biodiversity. fermentation, antibiotic and medicine, biofertilizers, farming technology, biogas, biodynamic ECN, tissue culture, hybridization, GMO and transgenic plants, all the fields where the biotechnology is worked is entirely based on the biodiversity, entirely based on the biodiversity. And the most important thing is that all the developed country of the world, all the developed country of the world is biodiversity very poor. And all the poor country of the world, all the developing country of the world are biodiversity very rich. This is the most important thing to notice. All the countries of the world are very poor in biodiversity. They procure biodiversity from the poor country by spending money and develop fuel from the with the help of the biotechnology, and they give that material to those countries. For example, if we consider about South, we found that North America, we found that from the South, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, all these countries was very poor in biotechnology, but very rich in biodiversity. The North America, which is comparatively very rich in biotechnology, but very poor in biodiversity. They procure biodiversity from these biotechnologically poor countries, and after getting material, they also give it to rich country. So this is the panorama. Biodiversity of India, I think it has already been heard from the several authors, so there is no need to spend much more time, that I am also running late. It is our plant diversity in India at a glance. Angiosperm 18,664, Gymnosperm 64, Pteridophyte, etc., etc., etc. It is animal diversity of the India. Dominant angiosperm families of the India. Endemic species. Endemic species, it bears a very important place in determination of the biological hotspot. So, they are very important. In India, there is 44 mammals, 42 birds, 162 reptiles, 138 mammalians, 435 species, and 6,214 insects are endemic. Among the endemic plants of India, there are some very peculiar plants, insectivorous plants, Lentibolariaceae, Droseraceae, Nepenthaceae, parasitic plants, Orobanchaceae, Loranthecaceae, Cascutaceae, Pentalaceae, Balanophораceae, Rafflesiaceae. This is some peculiar plants, Balanophora, Orobancha. It is a new finding. Only in the 2018, it was reported from the Mausami forest of the Meghalaya. It is polyendemic Yamatsuri. It is a root parasite. It belongs to the Mycostomataceae. Before this, it was a Philippine, and now it is also recorded from India. Cascuta, Dendropthy, Asclepium minotocipium, smallest angiosperms, normally born on the pine stem. only one member which grow in the India. It is the family member of the largest flower of the world, Rafflesia arnoldi. It is the close relative of that Rafflesia arnoldi to the same family. It is Sapria himalayana. It is the only member of the Rafflesia reported from the India. Aquatic plants. It's also bear some importance in field of the biodiversity because aquatic world is a separate ecosystem. Podostinaceae, Lemnaceae, Hydrocaritaceae, Alismataceae, Nymphaceae, Nagataceae, Aconagitonaceae. Different growth form of the aquatic plants based on which aquatic plants are divided. Edible aquatic plants, aquatic medicinal plants. These are some picture of aquatic plants. Nymphia rubra, Eriocolon. Mangroves, it is another very interesting plant. They also have some ecological value. In India, there are approximately 6,700 kilometers of the coastland area, of which 7% of the world mangroves inhabited. And one most interesting thing is that all the mangrove plants grown in the Indian coast are found in the eastern coast only. On the western coast, we found hardly any mangrove development. It is a very fascinating feature, very interesting feature. Some dominant mangrove species, Victoria, Nipa, Sundari, Caducifolia, and mangrove plants, Brugueria gymnorrhiza, Rhizophora. It is the diversity of the endemic plants. There are Orchidaceae, it gets the highest number of endemic genera, 46 genera containing 105 species endemic to India, followed by the Poaceae, 40, 69, Lumineaceae, 3278, Rubiaceae, 2900. Number of genus, this list has been prepared. So, if the basis of number of species prepared, Rubiaceae will be the highest number of family containing the highest number of endemic species. Then Poaceae, but as I prepared the list on the number genera, so second instead of the Rubiaceae. It is some feature of plant, flytrap, Topitia, this some panoramic view of the
Pinda,
endemic feature plants, Hypericus, Chandrina, Bentinkia Kudappana. It is also one of the most because these two this building have to this is the Bentinkia Licoborica, this is the Bentinkia Lidoca, it is the Bentinkia Kudappana. The most important feature to mention about this genus Bentinkia, they show the disjunct distribution. That is, one is endemic to the southern India, and it is Bentinkia Kudappana. It is endemic to South India, and the Bentinkia Nicobori species is endemic to Nicobar Island. It shows the disjunct distribution. Elaisica first, Smithia, it's feature plant, but this is the Bardhaman University.
212,
The feature on the place. Some curious plant of India. It is one of the most primitive family, Gestacentraceae. the vessel-less angiosperms family. As Takrajan was mentioned, India is the great angiosperm. Uh, it is also that vessel-less sperm. It is the Strobilanthes kuntia, kurunji. It's flowered every 12 years, and at that time, all the plain and plain green book to kurunji.
কি হলো রে? সাউন্ড নাই বেরো। Deniz Winteri,
Myristica, Jaipal and Joytree. Extinction. One is great poet Michael Madhusudan. He told us, জন্মিলে মরিতে হবে অমরকে কোথা কবে. When we take birth, we have to die. But our death is not the mature death. The premature death often takes place. The extinction may be explained by this process of the premature death. Present era has been described as an era of the extinction because starting from the Precambrian or Proterozoic or from the Cambrian era, Proterozoic era to till date, we have already visited 5 distinct extinction procedures, of which 3 is the total and 2 is partial. So, extinction is a process to destructions of the life form on this earth. 99.9% of the species which ever existed are now extinct. Present biodiversity is equal to speciation minus extinction. You have to remember this calculation to understand the biodiversity. That means the biodiversity always going on with extinction. The extinction is of two different types. One is the pseudo-extinction and is the true extinction. Often we say that one plant species has already been extinct. For example, Andromeda vesiculosa. This plant, once upon a time, it grew very wildly in our Salt Lake. But when the Salt Lake township has been developed, what we found that due to habitat destruction, all the Andromeda vesiculosa has been destroyed. We say that the Andromeda vesiculosa has been extincted. It is not extincted, it is pseudo-extincted. Somehow, we again found this Andromeda vesiculosa, and at present in the Missouri Botanic Garden, in their germplasm conservation, they have Andromeda vesiculosa with them. So, it is not an extinction, it is pseudo-extinction. In newspapers, sometimes we also found that we found a species of more than 100 years again. We discovered one species more than 100 years after more than 100 years or 200 years, 1000 years after. All these are the pseudo-extinction and true extinction. It means when a species entirely extinct from the world. For example, dodo. It is the geological time of extinctions. This is extinct human populations. Global biodiversity is not 20 in past 35 years. Human impact has evolved the rate of the extinction by several thousand times of the natural rate. It's predicted to reach 1,000 times of the natural rate by to this era. That means 2100 this year, 21st century. If the current rate is destruction of the biosphere continues, 50% of the extinctions of the species will be extinct in the next 100 years. That means what biodiversity we predicted in next week get that. And along for extinction of the species. 30%, 25% of the mammals, 25% and the reptile brink of extinction, in the phase of extinction. The rate of extinction, according to WCU, natural rate of extinction is 1 species of the mammals and 2 species of the birds in 400 years. The recorded rate of extinction during the past 400 years is 85 species of mammals and 130 species of the birds. Since beginning of the recording 1600 to AD, 800 extincted due to wanton activity of the estimate natural extinction rates in 1600 species. Amphibians, they are in great danger because 2 species have been extincted. Main cause of the species loss. Man is responsible for 98% of the present biodiversity loss. That means anthropogenic region is the most important region for the loss of the species. In fact, species is responsible for 39%, habitat destruction 36%, hunting 23%, and other causes 2%. So, these are the some extinct angiosperm species which has already been extincted from the India, and they are not pseudo extinction. Threats of the biodiversity. The main threat of the biodiversity is the habitat loss, invasive alien species, harvesting, accidental mortality, species persecution, pollution, natural disasters, change in native species dynamics, intrinsic factors, and human disturbance. So, this stage is the main cause of the biodiversity. This is the threat of life. Major biodiversity threat, if we consider, so we can say that this 5 is the major threat among the 10 threats which I have already been shown. Habitat destruction, overexploitation, deforestation, anthropogenic climatic change, and automation and synergic effects. Now, habitat loss. Habitat, the place where this term was first coined by the Elton in the 1927, and the habitat has been destructed for habitat loss and degradation, destructions of the biodiversity rich areas like the tropical forest, destruction of the coral reefs, aquatic ecosystem is threatened due to pollution, due to jalabhumi bondho kore dewa, pollutions of the freshwater streams, habitat loss and the degradation, impacting 86% of the threatened mammals, 86% threatened birds, 88% of the threatened amphibians. They are the threatened due to habitat loss and destructions. These are the some plants which are already in the brink of the habitat destruction. If we represent the habitat destruction, we will find such figure. It is before 2000, it is after 2000. Invasive species, yes, they play a major role for destruction of the species. They invade our they just most of you, I think, visit the Darjeeling. They found one Cryptomeria japonica. That Cryptomeria japonica is not a natural species of that place. It was planted by the British government during the 17th century for preparation of the packing box for the required for the tea cultivation process, and now the Cryptomeria japonica become major population there, and all the natural flora has already been destroyed. It is also some alien species. What are happening? It also creates the same problem. Parthenia, so poaching of the wildlife, man-wildlife called conflict. It is also responsible. আমরা মাঝে মাঝে দেখি one person killed it is also man-wildlife conflict during our netting. Some marine wildlife has also been destroyed. It is completely extinct. Dodo, it is a pseudo extinction. Cheetah from the India. Critically endangered tiger. Critically endangered. Now, way to mitigate. To conserve biodiversity, we have these 7 points agenda. Survey of the biodiversity and preparation of the database. The PBR system has already been started by the different biodiversity board of the different states. They have produced people's biodiversity register through which we can accumulate, we can make a database of the biodiversity of the past and the present, in situ conservation, ex situ conservation, sustainable utilization, indigenous knowledge system and the practice. This is the point which has been studied by the ethnobiologists, and they are the key persons to find out some way to mitigate the biodiversity loss by utilizing this idea, these thoughts of these tribal communities, because they are the persons who use the biodiversity in such a way for a long time. Innovations and benefit sharing people's participation. So this 7 is the main point to mitigate the biodiversity loss. Regarding in situ and ex situ conservation, we have already been discussed in our previous lecture. In situ conservation, conservation in its place. For this, we have prepared several national parks. We have biosphere reserve. We have protected areas, etc., etc. I am already 15 minutes late, so I faster. Ex situ conservation. For this, we prepared zoological garden, botanical garden, etc. So, this is the end. We have only to say that we only have to believe on our goodness, by which we can protect our biodiversity, we can protect Mother Earth, and by which we can make this earth for inheriting our next generation. Before ending, I convey my thanks to all organizers, especially Dr. Deobrata Das, for giving opportunity to speak something with such auspicious gathering. I am also thankful to all the persons present here to tolerate me for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you, Dr. Sunit Mitra,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. May I put up?
Okay. Sir, lecture is over. Then thank you, sir, very much. You told us in a very lucid but vivid way about the origin of life on the earth, endemism, biodiversity, threats, and extinction of species also. Exactly, you tried to cover all the related matter of biodiversity state and conservation with very good examples. Thank you, sir, again from my view. Today is the last of the biodiversity.
Of any, I am ready to answer any question.
Yes,
You
sir.
said in your program procedure that if someone asks any questions to me, I am ready to answer their questions.
Yes, sir. Please, I want to finish my talk. After that, I will start the chat box and I transmit to you.
Okay.
We started our series with the talk of Artoja Virupadas, a student of class 7, with the talk on birds, with about 65 participants. But now our biodiversity webinar telegram group is with more than 640 members. We are requesting all the participants to join the telegram group, if not yet. Our next webinar series, that is Environment and Development, will start from the month of April 2021. In this Google meeting room, many eminent personalities and research persons are present. I would request respected Dr. Shobhan Mukherjee sir to express his views about overall webinar series of biodiversity. We need blessings from all the people like you. We will be able to successfully complete our second series of our webinar, that is Environment and Development. In the meantime, Dr. Shobhan Kumar Mukherjee sir, are you hearing me?
Okay, thank you for calling me to say about the webinar series. And this is a unique type of, an excellent type of webinar series, and particularly this lecture is excellent, and Dr. Mitto has vividly described all the aspects of the origin of life and origin of life, Earth, and details, particularly details the biodiversity of all the groups, particularly in India, and he has described everything about the origin and the development and evolution in the living system. According to his lecture, life was originated in anaerobic condition in the aquatic environment, and after that, and the initial organisms are prokaryotic type, and then later it was developed into eukaryotic and ultimately unicellular condition, and after that it was converted into multicellular condition and ultimately developed into all groups of plants in a different times in different way. And one thing I would like to add, at present most of the books written as India world has 34 hotspots, but around the world 36 areas qualify as hotspot, not as 34. Actually, but it is 34 hotspot from the world, but recently idea has been increased from 34 to 36, and is present about 2% flora on the Earth's land surface. And this webinar is a unique lecture, and all the participants, different participants from different parts of India joined this seminar, and I'm thankful to organizer for conducting this type of webinar series. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We need your blessing.
Just a minute, Dr. Ghosh. I just thank Dr. Mukherjee. Thank you, sir. I changed the data there. Actually, I prepared the list of the hotspot based on the reference given Myers 2004. There, Myers stated that there are 34 hotspots.
No, 34 actually adopted 34, but at present 36 areas qualify for hotspot.
Yes, sir.
Actually, written in all the theory there are 34. I am adding one thing just for addition.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
actually, most of the papers deals with the 34 hotspot.
34. Actually,
throughout the world.
we followed.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Sunit, for your
Thank you.
brief and presentation about your lecture. Thank you.
Dr. Mitru, in this box there is no question, but if a participant want to ask any question, that is ready to ask question. Actually, today is the last day of our webinar series. If any participant want to say something, and they can say about this webinar or any facing problem or anything in this webinar series, they can express it. Any participant want to say anything? So, sir, there is no question and no question, and really we are very thankful to you. Instead of your health problem, you spend so much time with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
I am asking Dr. Das to conclude the session. Dr. Das, please.
A good actually program organized by us jointly, and we are going to next program, that is the next series of webinar on environment and development, in short form NDEV. So we are going to start the program from 3rd April 2021, and the first lecture on environment will be delivered by person from Chennai, and after that second lecture will be delivered by one associate professor from that one post, and so we have many personality and many figure on biodiversity, environment development, and preventionary environment and climate change. So I will convey my interest all the participants who will be present with us. So if anyone faces any kind of problem, actually email number is small abc, and then mobile number 980301026@com. What in the next webinar series, we will start another the email and another group, but the Telegram group is fixed for all. So I think participants will go to the Telegram group to information time to time, and each and every webinar we will start to open WhatsApp group, such kind of program. So thanks again for such kind of program to prepare. Today's program is over here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the feedback link is shared in the chat box. Anyone who has not given it till now, please go to the chat box and give the feedback. And if you are done submitting the feedback, you can ask your questions if there are any questions, and then you please leave the room. So till now there is no question, and I think we are at the end of this session and also end of this webinar, as time is over. And if you all have any further question, you can write to us through mail or WhatsApp, etc., and we will convey that to phone.
Okay, I will leave the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.